So, Gladiator Gauntlet. That's why you're here. So, Gladiator Gauntlet Season 6 is starting soon. You've got some new tower maps and you've got some new keep maps. The tower map looks like... That's not the right keep. That's Season 7. Sorry. Right. The... Tower map. Here we go. Season 6. Gladiator Gauntlet. So here we are. You can just about see it behind everyone. Let me just resize it slightly. There we go. And I don't have to move on to head.
Oh, in Forerunners, we got the Isolde skin. Did I see the Globalist getting a different one?
No, for some reason, they advertised the next season's Gladiator Gauntlet skin early. It's big. Their comms team is horrendous. So the Moore skin is the Season 7 Gladiator's Gauntlet skin. Okay, don't get excited. But yeah, so this is the tower map for Gladiator's Gauntlet Season 6. You've got your spawn point, you've got your exit point, and you've got your red entrance point, and then you've got your 2 deployment squares, and then you've got a number of tiles on the footpath, and we've got 2 tiles with big fat red X's on, and those are the tiles you do not deploy on because they will likely get annihilated by Garnet Guards or epic mages as they're coming round from just on deployment. Actually, those 2 tiles will get destroyed.
The only thing about this map that our guild had a little bit of a problem with was the Ingrid comps. So people like to put Ingrid right beside the core, the left-hand side of the core, and then have some CC on top, right? That was one of the ones that if you couldn't BP check it, you're going to be struggling with. But I still think that the Ingrid, Radius, I and healer and tank combination is still going to be effective in this, and it's going to be a pain in the butt for those that are overload.
Yeah, so I've got a selection of maps here. So there's another demonstration of tiles to avoid in the tower map.
Yep.
So they basically, the first one was a front defender. General, don't deploy there. They're going to be in trouble. This was the second. If you've got a rear defender, then these are also tiles that you probably want to consider avoiding. Again, in addition to the first 2 tiles that we were on that I showed, these are ones you're probably going to want to avoid because any Garnet Guards, epic mages coming round, even bookkeepers are just going to take these guys out as they come up to them because they're first in range.
Yeah, I did not like this setup at all. It was like, bad design on the left-hand side of the map. It was horrible. Mm-hmm. Everything, if you want to set up a proper defense, you have to use the front. It has to be those 4 tiles, and then, just place your units correctly. Make sure that the healer covers your defender, and then the DPS that you need. If you have Ingrid and you're lucky enough to have her, or Dahlia, then yeah, you can use them on the bottom platforms if you want. But no, that spot, the left hand side, I know for sure we're not going to recommend any defenses on that side.
Yeah, I mean, if your Ingrid is strong enough, you can even be clicked. I don't know how, but I managed to screw up my deployment on the first round of the Gladiator Gauntlet, and I didn't have a healer on my defender, and my Ingrid was still holding everybody off. So it is possible with a strong Ingrid to just dominate this map. But yeah,
unless they switch her mode. If they would have switched to Stellar, they could have taken advantage of you. And it's really easy to do that when you only have 1 tile between the defender and Ingrid.
Yeah. This was another comp we saw in a couple of places in one guild using an Ajax here to try and provide some CC and extra damage in front of the defenders. And obviously you've got Praetus with his lightning bolts, and you've got Valkyra for revives as well. So that's quite an annoying one that we fought through.
Yeah, if you have the BP check, you can get around that with Necros, especially with the bad placement of Praetus. But don't use Eunomia for GvG people. You should know better.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much Carnelian, Ezrein, and Lily to really dominate in GvG. In terms of healers, it's a bit unfortunate that that's limited to those three, but that's the nature of the game. I've still not seen an effective Tallulah defense, but maybe there's one out there.
We haven't seen one in global. And no, that's the mentality everybody should carry into here. There's the next powerful healer. Is you look at your account and you say, I have my 5 Lily, I'm going to use her. If I have Carnelian, that's the next one. And if you have Ezrein with its exclusive, that's the third one in line. Everybody else, you're pretty much in a crapshoot because if you want rage from Elowen, sure, but her range complicates things. And since they expanded the maps, if you were making a tier list, which I hate him, I would actually knock down Elowen. So so right now it's all about 3 healers right now in game.
Yeah. So you could also get like Eye on this tile where Ajax is, or Ajax, and then you can get a lot of CC coming around this corner that a lot of people were using. It really does slow things down. It tries to stop the rush. I know that there were some teams, some guilds were using Dahlia instead, or using Ingrid. So Ingrid on a lower, Dahlia on a low one, and Ingrid at the top, and then you kind of have this field of fire where things are held up and slowed down so that you can do a lot of damage. Same sort of thing can apply, but it's difficult to pull off effectively.
So the defense that I deployed, that even the number 2 guild in Forerunner avoided, was the one where I put Regulus, it was Regulus on the 3rd tile, I think it was. And then I had Ingrid coming from the left on that core, pointing to the right, and Greed on top. They did not want to touch that. And I don't know why they I mean, if they had the BP, they had the Necros, they could have tried it, maybe level 5 lightning guards, but it just completely turned people off, just that setup with, I think, did I use Ajax? I think I might have used Ajax for that as well. So that's one alternative if you wanted to make a watch guard comp, if you wanted to.
Yeah, Ingrid to the left, to the right of these, exit, Regulus, 1 tile back. And you're saying Ajax, healer at the top, along with Greed. Yeah, I mean, it'd have to be pretty tanky Greed, but yeah, I'm sure it could work.
Yep, it was. Yeah, exactly. That was the whole point of it. If Ajax provided me coverage a little bit from the lightning guards, and I knew that the lightning guys were probably going to take a couple of shots at Procure, maybe that gave him Ingrid enough of a chance to melt him. And then, every strategy that I would have thought to counter it, they didn't bother deploying. It was like, nah, we're good. We'll go on to the next one.
And we did start to see a few Wukongs, because Wukong came out around the time of the last matches.
Correct.
But what this one didn't do was what you could do is have a very high HP Wukong right next to your defender, so that he's actually applied some CC and DPS on the units in front. But then you have to have a very tanky Wukong, and you're looking around 80 to 85k HP. And that does bring his DPS down, but you've got Ingrid for the DPS. You've got Ingrid, who's then also applying her leader skill, where she does 50% bonus damage to any target that she's applied direct damage to. You've got his summons. You've got the monkey business, which is additional if it's above A1, and most people's are. Then, you've got a lot of support there to your tank. And it's a useful team. Not sure about the Cratch is the clutch defense there, but you got to try things if you're trying to maintain a team composition, and they were clearly going for a full Watcher comp here.
I think that the our audience that watch this know which heroes are going to work best, but Arcturus is just showing you this for like the type of deployments that you can look for doing. Just make sure you have the proper heroes that can, that can do this. Wukong, I would move him one down. I wanted to make sure that his CC worked well. But this is kind of the positioning that we saw for the gauntlet. And the top kills avoided the left-hand side, just like I would have expected. It's like the left-hand side did not give us the opportunity to make any suitable defense. So everything was up front. Everything we encountered was in the front. And it should have been. Apart
from the Korea comp, but we don't actually have any pictures of that, unfortunately. No. But there was a Korea defense that was...
that was the meme defense. Don't show them.
I don't have a picture of it, but it worked.
For a couple.
Yeah. This is an example of an eye comp that was quite common. Again, you've got some DPS down the bottom. You've got Ivar and Silas providing the damage, and you've got I providing the CC. So that was the tower. Now, do I have anything for the keep? I did have something for the keep. Turn that off.
So people were trying to stack the front, I think it was mostly. And there was a position on the back as well, or right by the core.
Yeah, it was difficult tower to defend. Sorry, it's difficult. The keep was difficult because where you had 3 tiles in the middle for setting up previously, you've only got like 2, and that meant you couldn't have your healer up there, which limited you quite a lot. So you had to move everything down. But then they kind of introduced this opportunity to provide shots down to where the spawn points were. And that made things a little bit complicated for people to fight with, but it was different. But yeah, it was mostly a BP check. And with Gladiator's Gauntlet, you've got 4 attacks. You have 4 attacks with more. If you've got him, then you can pretty much use him on every single attack.
No, Mystical, do you do a lot of GvG content in your channel? Did you what do you think about the maps when they change them?
Generically, I don't really get on with it, to be honest. It's not something I love. It's not something I'm naturally drawn towards. I don't know why. I mean, I don't mind the placement of the heroes and things, but I don't like the idea of using demon soldiers and things like that. I don't know. It's not something I naturally like. So generically for me, I will copy someone else's and then I'll wait for them to do an attack and I will copy their attack as well.
That's fine. That's fair.
Which I think is you should do if you're in a guild.
So, side note here, Arcturus is so there was I didn't make the beta. I didn't get to test the beta, but Arc Knights Enfield has it was it's kind of like an open world type of game. Is supposed to be, which is a spin-off of Arc Knights, which is another tower defense game. I don't know if you've heard that one, but I actually tried playing Arc Knights for a while because I wanted to see what their tower defense style was. It was something similar to what Watcher of Realms is, and yes, it is. But you know what? They went a different direction, and I know the game is older than Watcher of Realms, but they actually made all their content, even the endgame one, be tower defense type content. They don't have any PvP. They didn't worry about a PvP. And it was an interesting direction, and it's still more popular than Watcher of Realms. And I was like, that formula worked for them. And maybe that's what Watcher of Realms needs to do, is concentrate a little bit more on tower defense content than all of this, because all of this as it stands right now is all now it has changed to who has level 5 lightning guards. That's essentially what's come down to. Who has Ingrid's Pradius, And that's pretty much what GvG is. So they pinned themselves into a corner with this content. And I don't know if there are a lot of mysticals out there that have the same feeling that we do or that he does about this content and just say, just copy whatever everybody else is doing instead of trying to really play it.
So
because it's restricted.
As a guild leader, then, do you have an issue with people not participating in it? Because I have seen in Dev Insights, people have written in to say, can we just opt out of GvG in its entirety? The answer to that is no, just don't do it. So
I'm going to let Arturo's
as a guild.
I'm going to let Arturo's go first, because when I joined DS3, it was to try to boost GvG participation in the Forerunners, given that I'm already in DS1 Global, right? So it was kind of trying to teach people what kind of tricks they could do if they wanted to. But what I was finding out is that there were some that they didn't want to hear it, they didn't want to read it, they didn't want to watch replays, nothing. They just threw units, and that's how it eventually played out. And so for Arturos, that was one of the decisions he had to make. Do you want to go after GvG people, or just have two different type of players in your guild, which is some are GvG centric, some are not. And then you saw, I don't know how often you read our thread, but you saw kind of how divisive that can get if you have two type of groups playing GvG, right? So again, it's all on how you want to form that guild. How do you want to run that guild? For me, it's exactly what it comes down to. You want to be GvG heavy, or do you just want to be a passive GvG player?
Yeah, I think for me as a guild leader, what I want is for people to at least be trying. I don't want people who are sat back with going 0 on attacks and their defense is getting steamrolled every time. I want people to trying to be contributors. You might not win every attack, but at least, for goodness sake, try. And as I was saying to someone in a chat in chat yesterday, that you might not win every attack, but you might learn something about timing, and who knows, you might just manage to come up with a great defense, because sometimes in GvG BP is not the answer. If you understand strategy from watching other people, you can take their strategy and go, I don't have the BP that guy did, but I do have this, and maybe if I try changing around my affiliation slightly, or I change around my order of release, then I might actually be able to get that result. And sometimes you get it. And that's a learning thing. You've learned something, you've taken something away, and you've got something more out of the game, rather than just being a resource sink to your guild, because you're effectively offering 0 defense, so they've got to make their defenses harder, so they've got to put more work in or spend more money to get their units higher. So yeah, I think it's a difficult one. But you do want to try and keep it so everyone's participating and everyone's getting the rewards. And those skins that have come out, the Isolde skin is really nice. Let me just pull up the 2 reward skins that we've had so far, because they are both pretty nice skins. So
the rewards in total are pretty good, aren't they? I mean, let's
I know a lot of people on Global who think the rewards for GvG and Gauntlet are absolutely terrible. So I'm not going to get involved in that debate. But I do think this Isolde skin is nice, and I do think that the greed skin is really nice. So I think that the skins are nice. The skill crystals are quite nice, and I think it's like 2 skill crystals.
Isn't it? Coins for winning, or for winning your attack.
Yeah.
Particularly with the guild shop, it's got to be a bonus.
Yeah, with the fact that they've now got in the guild shop, you've now got the mythic shards, the mythic artifact shards, and the ancient summoning crystals on a weekly basis. They're really nice to have, and so any more source of guild coins is going to be welcome.
So that is why one of the debates that Arturos and I had was whether we were going to allow people that did not contribute to the seasonal guild war to jump into Gauntlet so they would get the skin. And so some decisions were made there, and we had to, we removed a couple players that we felt no, they didn't contribute enough to the season to say that they should participate for the skin and gauntlet. And we actually, I did not allow anybody to join our guild during gauntlet to make sure that they didn't freeload the skin. So it's kind of like decisions like that you have to make sometimes when it comes to this stuff, especially if you're a GvG centric skin or endgame. Exactly, because they saw they saw us in the gauntlet roster, and they said, "Hey, maybe I can get the skin out of it." And there were weak accounts. You could tell the applications were for 70s, 60s, hoping that they could join in to get the skin. So you make those decisions.
I will always use my tax. Maybe fantastically. I'll always use my attacks. I will always put my best defense up, although that's been boosted recently due to the poke banner. So that got a major boost to my account. So I will always put defense, or at least the best I can do. Now, generally, there's one decent defense and one not so good defense. But I imagine I'm in with many people on that.
Absolutely.
And actually use them. If you're in a guild, then you've got to at least contribute your effort into it. I wouldn't say you should freeload as much.
And if you come into a guild and it's your first week of GvG and you've done 0 attacks in both rounds of your thing, expect a message from the guild leader at the end of the week saying, "Are you sure you want to be in this guild? Because I can make space for people who want to be here." Freeloading is not welcome, I think, is generally my attitude to these things. But at least if you're trying and you're putting up your defenses, then that's what I'm after. Ideally, you get some wins, but if your wins are on the defense, then so be it. That's just the way it goes. I think
last week I had loads of wins. It was quite an accident, actually, but there you go. Shock.
So it's just it all depends on the type of guild that you want to run. It's essentially what it comes down to, and that's why you have guilds in global that are plat 2, and it's just like kind of chill. Like, we're not going to ask you to set up mimic defense or mirror defenses so you can practice on that type of thing. We haven't gotten to that extreme in a sense. You don't see that in our guild, right? Where we're saying, please set up this defense. No, that's Dragon Slayer's number 1 type stuff that you do, because you're trying to get into the top 2, top 3. But no, for us, it's been Arturo's and I kind of just trying to say, here is a proper defense. Don't do these placements. And then kind of let you figure out what makes a strong defense and what's not. But what annoys us is that once we're into week 6, week 7, we're seeing people place units on those platforms that we're telling you, don't put heroes there. They're going to get sniped. We've been through this 6 weeks. Those are the little things.
Yeah. Okay, that's probably... Sorry, go ahead.
Question for you then. Is it worthwhile guilds trying to get towards the bottom of this selection pool to get an easier run in the gauntlet when they start going up against teams, or is it just
because you saw what happened to us, right? You saw what happened to us, right? So we were being so relaxed there at the end that we ended up in the bottom 10, and in the second round, because of the matchmaking, which matched the number 2 guild in the server. So you want to be as far on top as you can from the gauntlet to make sure that you get the easier matchups.
Yeah, so, it's 1v32, 2v31, etc., etc. Right. So it's not 1v2, 2v. No, they've actually designed so it's proper funneling. So if you think, oh yeah, I'll go for relax. No, if you go like Habe to Scratch 256 on global, you're going to go up against Mad, and that's going to hurt.
So there are different strategies based on how the matchmaking works and how the point system is distributed during wins and losses that you can kind of work it to make sure that your schedule at the end is not as harsh. But if you push, you can definitely get into a very good position in the gauntlet. So there are various ways to strategize that. So, yeah, for the gauntlet though. And just to close it out for me, Arturo's regarding GvG, could you go to the season 7 screen for the Guild Wars?
Sure.
Because this is just something that I noticed and I'm wondering. Okay. Yeah. Do you think that was on purpose, or do you think that this is coming after the week reset?
I think that what we're alluding to is the fact that the player point score thing has vanished from here. So this is the season rewards for participating in GvG, and these are server-wide rewards, and the top 10 people get access to more shards, which is ridiculous, especially when they're handing out 70 more shards to the top 4 players of GvG on the server. And it's just going to build the... it's just going to create discontent. It's not going to balance things out. You're not going to have like one player who's really far down, who's got amazing defense. It is actually possible for someone who's got amazing defenses because they're in a guild where they're the only people they're against crap guilds, and people keep attacking them, and they keep getting like 15 defenses. And every time they attack, they're attacking the keeps, and they're scoring max points on every single keep they attack. It's possible. They're the people who are going to be up the highest, not necessarily the people in the top guilds. But
yeah, so this was kind of like a teaser, is whether did they back out from doing it, or is it just going to be we'll see it at the week once the calculations are done, the weekly calculations. But it was just weird that button went away. That, like, after all the feedback we gave him, it's really weird that button went away. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. But I'm not expecting magic to happen. I think there's going to be more chaos involved.
As always, something in Forerunners has to cause some chaos. It wouldn't be Forerunners if it didn't. So.
Right.
And if you made it this far into the video and you're wondering why I was not on Facecam, no, you cannot blame it on Arturos. He did not have technical difficulties today. It wasn't on him. No, I just had surgery in my left eye. It's not the pleasant looking thing, and I was not going to do the sunglasses and hat thing. So we decided we just do voice today, but hopefully I'm back on Facecam next week, people. And we'll leave it there for this episode. But yeah, and then thanks to Mystical for deciding to join us to be the guest host and at least provide another face that people could look at.
One that's a bit more animated than Sebastian and Sabine today. Okay, so that's it. Do remember to like and subscribe and share with everyone on your way out. This video is always broken up into segments, so you can always send a timestamped clip to people and they can jump straight to the section that they're interested in. But thank you to Mystical, and we will see you all next week.
See you, everybody.
Bye.